is Radio Free Pro Wrestling, your home for smart and stunning wrestling debate with lifelong wrestling fans Shawn and Ashlee. Let the debate begin.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of Radio Free Pro Professional Wrestling. I hope you're having a great Memorial Day weekend. It's I, Shawn, with my co-host Ashlee, as we are here to break down AEW Double or Nothing and WWE Queen and King of the Ring here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Ashlee, it's been one long wrestling weekend. How are you doing?
I am slowly but surely recovering today.
I think we all are. We're all in a wrestling coma, but we are here to catch everybody up on the week that was in professional wrestling.
Oh yeah, not to mention, I've also had some stuff I was a little backed up on, so I was also catching up with some like Ring of Honor and New Japan this weekend, along with everything else going on.
Very true, because me and David already today recorded a episode of a show covering Progress, the second of their Super Strong Style 16 tournament. That is up on our YouTube channel if you want to check that out.
This is your Radio Free Pro Wrestling Control Center. All the wrestling news you need to know.
But Ashlee, my first news story coming to you today. Okay, this is the one that you sent me. Bible is reporting that Stephen Borland, the son of Steve Borland, is getting ready to train to be a professional wrestler. So yes, we may get the son of Sting in professional wrestling.
This is, I think, one of the coolest stories to kind of come out this year. Obviously, we'll have to see how he goes, but definitely looks like he caught the bug doing that, the old entrance and the spot with Sting at Sting's final match. So it'll be very cool to see, especially training with somebody like Darby.
Yeah, it should be very interesting, and hopefully he has caught the bug and he'll have some time to get into professional wrestling, and we will have a second generation Borland donning the paint and carrying on the legacy of Sting.
They both look good. I'm excited to see him do it. I'm excited to see where it goes.
I am as well. Do you remember how much air he got on that Stinger splash? Yes, I think he could do this thing. So my second news story for you, Ashlee. Over the weekend, we have learned that Minneapolis, Minnesota will be the host for SummerSlam 2026. And it's going to be a 2-night event, as it'll be August 1st and August 2nd. Ashlee, are you ready for yet another Big Four pay-per-view to be 2 nights instead of 1?
I mean, as long as they can build out the card properly, I think it should be good. And I think this is really good for Minneapolis, who I was actually just reading about. They had a bid in for WrestleMania that they lost out on. So to get something as big as SummerSlam to come there, especially for 2 nights, should be good for them. Like I said, I think with WrestleMania they did a pretty good job with the 2 nights. So as long as they can kind of keep off, the more of the fat, I guess you would call it, like kind of like unnecessary matches, I think they could do like a good 4-hour show for each night.
I can say I feel like WrestleMania was the trouble in, and they saw what kind of money they could generate from a 2-night event. So now they're on a quest to make the Big Four 2 nights each. So I bet you anything we'll see a 2-night Royal Rumble in the near future.
I mean, I could see it maybe possibly with maybe doing like the women's Royal Rumble on like one night and the men's on a separate night.
Exactly. That's why I think with main event both nights, you would either have the women's on night 1 and the men's on night 2, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving on to my third news story. As Fightful is reporting that MJF's contract extension was done back in 2022 during the Double or Nothing fiasco, and he remains under contract for some length of time now. And he's now one of the highest earners in that company. So the bidding war 2024 is over, and MJF is AEW forever, quote unquote.
Yeah, and if the deal is truly making him one of the highest paid in AEW, I think last night certainly proves why he has more than earned that money. The reaction was insane.
Yes, I feel like they did the smartest thing they could do. They secured one of their top young talents for a long time. And for once, I'm going to give Tony Khan some credit. Very smart move, Tony. Sign that guy, because he would be a star in the other company.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody can maybe have a little bit of gripe with how everything went down at Double or Nothing 2022, for sure. I think especially somebody like Wardlow might have something to say with how that went down. But like you said, there's no denying what MJF is and what he brings to AEW, and to have him secured for a long time for the future is unbelievably great for them.
Exactly. Actually, my next news story for you. Over the weekend, Hall of Fame announcer Jim Ross was hospitalized with the flu virus. We just want to wish Jim Ross a speedy recovery. He went to Twitter and posted that he was watching AEW Double or Nothing from the hospital room.
Yes, absolutely. We know JR's had some health concerns in the past few months and in the past few years, overall especially. So hopefully he'll be out of the hospital soon and back to at least popping in on AEW, especially for like the main event commentary and stuff like that. I love that.
Exactly. I can't wait to see Jim Ross get back to being able to call the big main events in AEW. His voice is always missed when he's not there. And my last news story for you, Ashley, coming out of the media scrum of Double or Nothing, Tony Khan was discussing the possibility of either having a mixed tag team title division or maybe bringing in a women's tag team title division. Which of one of these would you rather have?
Truly, I would love to have the mixed titles because I love that, but I don't think AEW really does enough of that to warrant having a like those kind of championships right now. Meanwhile, we have a lot of women who have been paired up, especially over the past few years, that it would make sense to kind of, have a basis for a foundation of it. So I could see them going with that way first.
Exactly. I would rather have the women's tag team title division and having women tag team titles because I feel like they have more established female tag teams. I mean, Tay Conti's coming back. So you have Anna Jay and Tay Conti. You have Mariah May and Thomas Tony Storm. And I feel like that would be a solid basis for a women's division for a tag team.
Please, I hope they're coming back soon. But you also have Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker kind of waiting in the wings. A lot of speculation about them possibly returning last night, but nothing. So I'm hoping they're not too far off, especially Jamie, because we know how severe her injury was.
Exactly. We have the milk cartons printed, and we're about ready to ship them out. We'll keep you an address of their situation here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. That has been our control center for this Memorial Day, May 27th, 2024. Let's catch you up on what happened over the weekend as we review AEW Double or Nothing. And Ashley, I'm going to start with the first match here. It's Will Ospreay winning the AEW International title in 17 minutes and 57 seconds. Like me, you, and Kimmy thought, Will Ospreay is now a champion in AEW. And we got to say congratulations to Kimmy Sokol on winning the pick contest.
Yeah, that Moxley pick put her over the top there.
I got to say, somebody did some early morning counting and thought that was going to be a tie between you and Kimmy. And I got a message from Miss Sokol, and I had to do a quick recount. And I realized I added one extra point somewhere. So my apologies to Kimmy Sokol. She is the true champion. So we will have her back near Forbidden Door. But I got to say, this was my idea for the opening of Double or Nothing. I was happy Tony went with this match because it was a banger.
Yeah, a hell of a way to start off. I just feel like every time Will Ospreay is on screen, there's not much that can be said except for like, wow, or oh my god, he's athletic as hell. He has such a great fan reaction. Like, I don't see it taking long before he's a top champion in AEW.
Exactly. And after this, Adam Cole comes down. He runs down Las Vegas, and you hear that music, and it's MJF, everybody's favorite scumbag. He walks down to the ring, and for a moment, it's our tag team. They're back. We can go ahead and do the other podcast. Oh, MJF low blows them. I mean, granted, MJF had every reason to kick him low, and he had a brain buster. Perfectly understandable. But we have our scumbag back, and he cut one hell of a promo right there.
Yeah, we kind of finally saw the return of Adam Cole. We saw him kind of miraculously stand up from the wheelchair last month and then pop up again here. So it was nice to see that he seems healthy and ready to come back as well. MJF kind of making his big grand re-entrance into AEW, announcing he's re-signed and is here for the long haul. And like I said, that crowd reaction is it just proves why he's worth every penny he's making right now.
Oh, exactly. I guarantee you this rate on AEW Dynamite coming up Wednesday is going to be higher than their last couple of weeks because this guy is back and everybody's going to be telling everybody, hey, MJF is back. You need to see what he's going to do Wednesday night.
Oh yeah, I had a big Marco moment when he came out. I had kind of read some rumors that he might be coming back, but I was pretty excited when he finally made his entrance back. It's nice to see him looking so healthy.
Very well. And I gotta say, he had a very interesting choice in what he was wearing down to the ring. It kind of reminded a lot of people of Triple H a la 2002.
Very much so. Very inspired.
Okay, so the Bang Bang Gang defended their unified trio championships against the Death Triangle. Actually, this match kind of tore at our hearts here because these are 6 of our favorite professional wrestlers. And this was one match they added very late in the game, and it wasn't part of our pick contest. So I was personally happy that we didn't have a pick this match because I don't know which direction I'm going to go. But hey, I'm here for a Bang Bang Gang victory, so guns up.
Yes. And then finally, another return that we have been waiting for. Our boy, Rock Hard Juice Robinson, back to help the boys win. I love Pac. I love the Lucha Brothers, but god damn do I love this Bang Bang Gang.
And them being back to full strength and having Rock Hard Juice Robinson back. He's the heart and soul of that group. I mean, I love me see Jay White, but it was missing something. And what it was missing was this insane Juice Robinson.
Definitely, for sure. To see him come back again, he looks great. He looks healthy again. And I am very excited to see where they can go with him now, especially being back in the group, being such a vital part. I'm sure they'll find a spot for him somewhere. And it takes nothing away from Pac and the Lucha Brothers at all.
No, it doesn't. And oh, by the way, Tony, how about Will Ospreay versus Juice Robinson for that international title? Thank you very much.
Yeah, that would be good.
That'd be a good start. Okay, we're moving on. It's the AEW Women's Championship match. This one was no surprise. It was a great match in ring. I think the crowd actually appreciated it a little bit more than what Kimmy Sokol and us fought. And like I said, Toni Storm wins here in 15 minutes and 38 seconds. And we're on still with the timeless one as our AEW Women's World Champion.
Yeah, it was a match that I feel like maybe started off a little slow for the first few minutes, as they were kind of seemingly more feeling each other out. But they kind of hit it into another gear a few minutes into it. And by the end, I feel like the crowd was into it, chanting for Toni. She had that big Storm Zero from the top rope. That looked insane.
Exactly. And if you haven't watched the post AEW Double or Nothing media scrum, her little section there with Tony Khan and the Ace was classic.
Toni Storm is officially my favorite part of every media scrum, and she needs to be there at every single one.
You know, if she was the only wrestler they brought back for a media scrum, I'd be perfectly happy. Let's just do an hour and a half with Toni Storm, please.
Yeah, honestly, I need like a show, something with her.
Okay, so we're moving to a match that kind of got me scratching my head because when we had Kimmy on here, we were all talking about how Trent Beretta probably needed this victory, but Orange Cassidy does get the victory over Trent Beretta. And we got a little bit of a promise of a contract coming to one of these gentlemen by Don Callis. We don't know which one. I guess we have a tune in Wednesday night.
Yeah, I have some mixed feelings about this one because I think this storyline like definitely earned a spot on the pay-per-view. But I also kind of feel like if we were just going with the Orange Cassidy win, then I don't know if I don't feel like without like a big swerve, like it could, like I feel like it could have been put elsewhere to save at least a little bit of time on the lengthy pay-per-view. But I'm truly hoping Don Callis isn't going after Orange Cassidy. I don't know how he would fit in with this group.
Yes, you could have a second babyface with Will Ospreay because Will Ospreay is kind of this weird square in a round hole of the Don Callis family where he's the face and everybody else in the group is a heel.
Yeah, especially because the differences between like the Will Ospreay being managed by Don Callis and then later on Konosuke Takeshita's match, like they both kind of took different avenues on their advice with Don Callis, leading to different outcomes for their matches. So I feel like the obvious thing is like Will Ospreay has to break away from that. So I don't know, like turning Orange Cassidy heel to join this group wouldn't make any sense if you just turned Trent heel. Why wouldn't he have just turned heel with Trent? Like it would just feel like very redundant. So I would think that it would be Trent getting the offer.
Yes, I do feel like Trent would be joining the family because it makes more sense. Because why would Trent have any issue if Orange turns heel and you got these two gentlemen fighting for absolutely no reason whatsoever?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I feel like Don Callis trying to take Orange Cassidy wouldn't make too much sense. I think they would have to put a lot more into it if they were going to go that route. But right now, as I see it, I feel like the Trent is the more obvious choice.
Well, we'll move over to the other match that I have a minor issue with. And ladies and gentlemen, that would be for the World Championship, as somehow, some way, Chris Jericho, the Learning Tree, defeated Hook and Shibata with a little help from Brian Keith, the bounty hunter, as he is the newest member underneath the Learning Tree, even though I want that freaking tree cut down.
Brian Keith, what the hell, man? I think if you've heard me speak about this, you know how I feel about Chris Jericho at this point in time. I didn't hate this match as much as I thought I would, but I still think it was my least favorite match of the night overall. I don't know where this is going. Like, every time Chris Jericho surrounds himself with people, they kind of just end up in the same position they were before they dealt with Chris Jericho.
Exactly. Trying to remember one person from the last two Jericho groups that got elevated through said group.
And it's tough to think of anything right now. I still feel like AEW desperately needs a break from him. And they seem very keen on not giving us a break from him.
And my thing is like, okay, Jericho beat up Taz. Hook has had 2 pay-per-view matches to get revenge on said person, and he's failed both times. I'm like, why are we doing Hook here?
Yeah, and I'm struggling to understand what Jericho is doing for this title, or trying to do for this title, if anything, really.
And it's a title that isn't recognized by said company. They usually say this was an unofficial title until now, I guess, when we got the World Championship. They renamed the sucker.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm truly baffled. Like I said last time we spoke, I just feel like Big Bill is kind of, I don't want to see him as this like lackey position. I want to see what he has as a top guy, because I think he was kind of breaking out, and especially with the tag team with Ricky Starks and stuff like that. So I feel like we kind of just put him right back where he came from a few months ago, you know?
Well, if he's able to elevate himself through the Learning Tree, then I will forgive this being existing, as long as if we have Big Bill breaking away and being a bigger star, where I feel like he can be a monster heel, or you want to play a babyface with a giant. I feel like he can actually do some talking on the mic. So hopefully this time with Jericho will benefit him. So we're going on to another questionable booking of the show, as we go to the IWGP World Heavyweight Title Eliminator match. You're telling me that Katasha cannot beat a one-armed Jon Moxley?
Listen, I have the same exact concerns about this. We were speaking about Takeshita before this match, and I truly figured Takeshita would get this win just because it's an eliminator. You know, it's not obviously, it's not for the title. It's not going to count like that against Moxley. I feel like you did so much to make Takeshita this big bad heel. He beat Kenny Omega twice last year, and it was like this big deal. And since then, he's done absolutely nothing since joining the Don Callis family. He's had really good matches, like there's no doubt there, but he's not. I just don't feel like you needed to do the whole arm angle if you were just going to have Moxley win. You could have just played the numbers game, or something like that, backfiring on Takeshita. That would have made a little more sense. To watch Jon Moxley get, almost obliterated for like 90% of that match, and then kind of get the win at the end was a little disappointing.
Exactly. I'm like, you're trying to build up this monster heel, and Takeshita, who used to be a beloved babyface in this company because he was having great matches, and he got hooked up with Don Callis, and we kind of set Callis and him as a group, and him being this like heater for the family, and now he's like, I guess, lukewarm. I'm like looking at, dude, you might want to let this contract run out and see what your options are.
I mean, I just, like I said, like, I feel like beating Jon Moxley is already like a huge thing, especially for anybody in AEW. So to have Takeshita be like the one guy who'd be like, I beat Omega, I beat Moxley, like that could have been something like almost as much as a title for him, right now.
Exactly. You give him this win here, and you move down the road to wherever you want to do this match at. If you want to do it on Dynamite, Collision, Forbidden Door, and Moxley wins the actual title match, and we're fine. You give the Takeshita the win over Moxley without giving the title over to Takeshita.
Exactly. And then I get a rematch of Mox versus Takeshita because the match was very good. I just don't feel like you needed the whole arm angle to have Takeshita lose.
Well, we're going on to a trifecta of questionable booking as, yes, Kimi Soko, it is the House of Midcard as Malachi Black fails to gain the TNT title.
House of Midcard.
As Adam Copeland retains his TNT championship with a little help from a friend called Grand Gale.
Yeah. And I think I stand by what I said before this. I genuinely do not know what the House of Black does from here. I mean, he had Brody King and Buddy Matthews come down, do the fake out, turn on him. They still helped him take out Copeland, and Copeland still won at the end of it. I mean, they all come across as very ineffective.
I feel like they just need to go over to Ring of Honor and rehab their image, because I feel like maybe they could be the upper element of Ring of Honor, but right now they are the House of Midcard in AEW land.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know where Malachi goes from here, especially in singles competition, because I feel like maybe I know he's had some like injury concerns and things like that, but I feel like he's struggled a little bit in like singles competition, and to kind of see him take another big loss, especially in a title match like this, where does House of Black go from here? It doesn't put him in any contention for anything. They're not actively up on anybody that they've feuded with. I don't, where do they go from here?
Exactly, because basically this feud's over. I mean, you just blew off the big Adam Copeland and Malachi Black match in one go, and with this Barbara Steel cage match, where do you go from here?
Right, and especially kind of the results after the match, like Copeland might be injured. Reading some speculation, I know he's a little banged up, especially after that big jump off the cage. So hopefully he's fine. But I just feel like House of Black is really in limbo. They either really need an image change or they have to disband at this point.
Exactly. Well, let's move over to the big win of the evening, as Mercedes Moné did, in fact, win the TBS Championship. It was a good match, but I feel like everybody's going to be talking about the heel turn that came after this, as finally we saw Chris Statlander join the dark side and turn on her beloved friend and took off the friendship bracelet.
Yeah, Chris Statlander. What the hell, man? Not an unexpected result. Obviously, I think everyone picked Mercedes or figured Mercedes was going to win this match, especially with the reach she has with social media and everything like that. But a very good match. I know when we spoke about the upcoming match itself, we talked there could be ring rust issues. There could be, she hasn't wrestled in a year. There's all sorts of things that could have kind of held this match back, but I thought she looked great. It helps progress this storyline with Chris Statlander and Willow. We're going to get to see a new side of Chris Statlander. I am very interested to see what she does as a heel, especially if Stokely is going to kind of stay by her side.
I am too. I'm interested to see that if we're going to spin this off to Willow chasing after Chris Statlander to get revenge, who's the next person to challenge Mercedes Moné for that TBS Championship?
Very true. I think now she kind of has a run at like anybody there.
True. I feel like she could go through a bunch of babyface talent there in AEW until they find one person to go into a feud with Mercedes Moné. So, talking about championships, let's go on to Swerve defeating Father of the Year Christian Cage to retain his AEW World Title in 24 minutes and 45 seconds. An excellent match for a champion that needed a good win against a person who was a solid challenger.
Yeah, I personally loved this match. I thought it was very good. I loved Swerve's whole Warriors-inspired entrance and everything like that. I thought that was really cool. And I think that mid-air house call kick is going to stick with me for a while because that's one of the coolest images I've seen in wrestling in a while.
I gotta say, I am looking forward to watching this show later on this week when I have an opportunity to. And this is the first match I probably will be watching in this pay-per-view. We're up to the main event. And the main event, like Kimmy Suckle called it, it was the Anarchy in the Arena. But unfortunately for Kimmy, she picked wrong. She should have joined us. She should have joined Team Elite as Elite carried the day. Now, granted, we did not get Heyman and Page coming back to do the save for the team. But hey, this was still one of the craziest matches in the world. And apparently, Nicholas and Matthew Jackson are doing a fundraiser to get $200,000 back.
Listen, as much as I love my technical wrestling, and I've spoken about how much I love my Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. and stuff like that, this also, I love all of this too. This is the kind of stuff that I was in my apartment at 12:15 scream singing the final countdown along to. I was having a ball watching this match. Everything about it was insane. Flamethrowers, thumbtacks, exploding chairs, buses plowing through humans, everything.
It's going to be interesting to see where we go now, because we had the babyface team will take the L here in this big gimmick match. And I'm just waiting to see Wednesday night how Team Elite runs wild over AEW, because I feel like they're going to be a heavy player coming towards AEW All In London, because that's the next major show. I mean, I know we got Forbidden Door coming up later in June, but everything's going to be building to London.
Yeah, I was going to say, Forbidden Door coming up, I feel like that's a little bit more of a, like, in a vacuum. Like, we're kind of probably going to get some stuff setting that up over the next few weeks. It'll happen at Forbidden Door and just be over with. But I feel like we're also now going to start setting up things towards Wembley. We had the announcement from Tony Khan that the winners of the Owen Hart Memorial Cups will be going to All In for title shots. So that's very cool. And I'm hoping that means we'll see, like, some C2 type brackets for these instead of the FTW World Championship title brackets like we saw a few weeks ago. A very cool kind of addition for that. And kind of seeing like Will Ospreay at the scrum already sort of be like, hey, if there's a way to go after the AEW Championship, consider me in, is pretty exciting. I would love to see him join this tournament.
Oh, exactly. I can't wait to see Will Ospreay in this. If we're leading a way to get him a chance at that AEW World title, especially in London, I feel like that's the direction you go here. I know Swerve, it's your top baby face, and it leads you to London and go like, do you take the title off of Swerve to just put it onto Will Ospreay, or do you give Will Ospreay first loss in London and send the people in London home not happy? That's a question to have. We'll address that later. We're not going to think about it right now.
Yeah, too far ahead right now.
Too far. Okay, so this was interesting. They added this match to 0 Hour. It's Deonna Purrazzo defeating Thunder Rosa in just a little bit over 10 minutes.
Yeah, we've seen some bad blood with them over the past few weeks. It was nice to see them kind of get at least like on the buy-in. I feel like we're going to continue this, though. I don't feel like they're done just yet.
And we see Deonna Purrazzo holds on to the rope to get the victory over Thunder Rosa, and I feel like you're right. I feel like we're just starting this feud as we see a more heel Deonna Purrazzo. They could put this match on the main card and put that for the World Championship on the buy-in, and I would have been perfectly happy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they could have put that for the World Championship on like Dynamite, and nobody would have come. Like
Dynamite, Rampage, NXT would have.
Yeah, Rampage would have been.
In the other buy-in match, we saw the Acclaim and Billy Gunn get a victory over the Gates of Agony.
Yeah, this was a match that was kind of just thrown on, I guess, for the sake of it. We had one interaction with Max Caster rapping about the names of Toa Leona and Khan, which he seems pretty obsessed with at the moment. I feel like he's struggling a little bit with his crowd connection, and it's kind of hurting the Acclaimed a little bit, but this was a match that I don't feel like there was any excitement for. Like, it was just kind of, oh, hey, here's another buy-in show match, you know?
All you need to do is look at where Anthony Castro goes to go like, hey, Las Vegas, everybody loves the Acclaim, and you just look behind him and this one girl goes like, not really.
Yeah, I don't know what the move is with them either. You know, they're another team that I think they've kind of become a little stale in what they were doing, and they haven't changed anything up as of yet. So I don't know if you split them up. I don't know if you maybe turn them heel for a bit to see if that could work. But I feel like Max's struggle with these raps, I really think since he like choked on that one when he completely messed up and stuff like that, I feel like he's just had such a hard time with it.
You know, I feel like you can probably try it first with a heel run. Then you might want to try splitting one up from the other. And I feel like Anthony Bowen has a single run in there. I feel like he's good enough to carry on his own. Then you can probably send Matt Kessler around different places to give him some reps and stuff. And maybe have him try out a new character and come back as a non-rapping Max Caster.
Yeah, I think they are going to have to just figure out something else for him. I don't know how much more anybody's really going to stay paying attention to this if they don't change up anything about their presentation.
It's just crazy to think. It's going to be an interesting case study of how the Acclaim was so hot at one point, and we're talking about this a little over a year ago, and now they're like one of the coldest acts in this company.
Yeah, it truly is very strange, but it also goes to show how quick our attention spans are as wrestling fans as well, too.
Very true. So that was your AEW Double or Nothing 2024 preview here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Earlier in this massive weekend of Professional Wrestling, they had an event in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. It was the Queen and King of the Ring. And the first match up on that card was Liv Morgan did defeat Becky Lynch for the Women's World title in 15 minutes and 23 seconds with a little help, question mark, from Dominic Mysterio, who was there to make sure Liv Morgan wasn't going to get the title that Mommy held. He slid a chair into the ring, and unfortunately for Dom, Liv Morgan hit a DDT on Becky Lynch, and 1, 2, 3, we have a new Women's World Champion.
Yeah, I feel like I would hope that this wasn't because of the sort of backlash that Becky Lynch got for winning the World Championship, and I'm hoping it's more just because Liv Morgan is very over and she's super popular and has gotten so much better over the past few years. So I'm not surprised because I feel like they were kind of put in a position of having to just scramble to find a new champion when Rhea got hurt. So maybe kind of doing this was to, all right, now we found somebody we can be a little more stable with as champion right now. Plus, I think you'll also have that built-in storyline when Rhea does make her return.
I really feel like Becky was the break the glass emergency replacement for Rhea Ripley in this feud for the moment. And I feel like Becky was going to go, I'll take some time away from WWE. And when Rhea went down, they went to her and went like, hey, we kind of need you here and help us get Liv up to where we want her to be to hand this title over to Liv. And now we're at the point where Liv has the title. So I do believe after Monday night's episode of Raw and this rematch that Becky Lynch is already trying to get, and she'll get it tonight as we're recording this show, I got a feeling that Liv Morgan's going to defeat Becky Lynch, and we'll see Becky Lynch go off for some time and come back down the road here.
Yeah, I mean, we all, a lot of people like to not take she has a young child at home. I'm sure after being back and as present as she has been, she would certainly like to take some time off and see her child for a bit. And I think like she knows as well that like Liv Morgan is someone they can be comfortable with as their champion, as as representing them right now.
Very true. Now, the second match of the card is something you need to go out and see if you haven't seen it. It's the triple threat for the Intercontinental title. It's Sami Zayn retains his title. And I got to say, one thing you're going to see is a blue floater bomb by Sami Zayn on Bronson freaking Reed. And it blew my freaking mind.
That is a big boy to be thrown around like that.
Honestly, I thought he couldn't do it until I saw him go for it, and he nails the sucker. I'm going, oh my freaking word. And
never doubt Sami Zayn.
Oh, how about Chad Gable and being able to double German suplex both of those guys? I'm like, this was a great match. And the finish, we see Otis in the corner, and we see Chad go to him, like, holding Sammy up, and they're like, dude, slap him, help me win this title. And we see a little miscommunication here as Otis finally goes firing up for that clothesline, and he takes out Chad Gable long enough for Sammy to roll in the ring, hit a haluva kick to the down Bronson Reed, and pin Reed. I got a feeling that we're heading to a split up between Chad Gable and Otis, and maybe down the road, Chad's your IC champion, and Otis is the first one to face him.
I can definitely see them doing something like that. They have had like all the Chad Gable yelling at him and kind of shoving him off to the side and kind of things like that. So I could definitely see like that would be like a very cool Chad Gable kind of veering more into this heel character and have Otis be the baby face.
Exactly. And I got a feeling there's a little bit more mileage between Chad Gable and Sami Zayn in this feud, and I'm here for it.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just keep going. Okay, so we get up to the Queen of the Ring. It's Nia Jax versus Lana Valkyria. This match lasted about as long as it needed to. It's 9 minutes and 38 seconds. And I got to say, it was the underdog babyface Lana Valkyria tried everything she could do to beat the giant monster that was Nia Jax. And Nia Jax had a good showing. And I got to say, I know a lot of people don't like Nia Jax and how she was portrayed before, but this run she's been on lately is probably the best run of her career. And she's going to do good with this Queen of the Ring title because I feel like it's better on the hill.
That's true. It is something for them to kind of flaunt around for a while. And like you said, she has been a lot better. I've seen people be a lot more receptive to her this go around. And it's probably safe to say that she took a lot of what was said to heart. I think anybody that had some of the things said about her in that position would. And it seems like she's really put in an effort to make herself better in the ring.
I gotta say, she's done well in this relaunch of her career. And this match here, I feel like Var was saved and he didn't do any damage to your young babyface because she was trying to go for a power bomb. And Nia just countered down into her finisher. And it was a good way to protect your young new babyface overall.
Right. And like you said, like having it on the heel is like a good way. And now we've kind of seen what Lyra can do in the ring as well. And she's shown that she can like handle the task as well. So it seems safe to say that they can trust her to put her in, a couple more spots here and there and until she's a little more prepared, like everyone else is.
Okay, so we go to the King of the Ring match. It's Gunther versus Randy Orton. It's 21 minutes and 50 seconds of a pure mat classic. In the first 2 minutes, all it is them staring each other down as Jeddah is just losing their freaking mind at seeing Randy Orton versus Gunther.
I'm pretty excited that Gunther won this.
It was a great match. They told a great story. The story is Randy goes for an RKO. He re-enters his back. And through the match, Gunther did everything in his power to make sure he attacked the back. He attacked the bad knee of Orton. And Orton's own offense was causing him to lose this match because Gunther was smart enough to read the match, to watch many Orton matches. So he went for that twisting power slam. Gunther just held the ropes and went, okay, to that. And we saw Randy eat the mat, and he wasn't able to do that move. He goes for another RKO. He successfully gets the RKO, but he's so injured he can't put the leg down, and Gunther wraps him up. 1, 2, 3. Yes, there's an angle that shows that Randy's shoulder wasn't totally down on the mat, but I feel like that's just telling us what the next chapter in this story is, because I feel like they want to run this match back, and they figure out a way to do it with the shoulder not being on the ring.
Oh, yeah, I think they're definitely going to have to run this match back.
I want to run it back a lot, because I feel like there's a lot of mileage in this match, and Gunther as your king of the ring is going to be freaking great. He's a monster heel that can brag that he is the best in-ring tactician, and he just beat one of the 15-time WWE World Champions in Randy Orton, and now heading into the summer, we have Gunther as the number one heel on Raw. And the only thing I'm worried about is if Drew gets a title at Clash of the Castle, Bash in Berlin is like 2 months later. Are we going to have a 2-month Drew McIntyre title reign?
I mean, possibly. Like we kind of spoke about earlier, putting him in that position, like to have not only won the King of the Ring, but to also beat somebody of Randy Orton's caliber with his like pedigree and everything like that. Like that almost itself is like an accolade to add to your resume.
Exactly. So we're down to the main event. And one thing I loved about this card was it was a short 5-match card. Every match had time to breathe. And when we're done, it was literally like 3:30, 4 o'clock Eastern. So you had the rest of the day to enjoy. But Cody Rhodes retains his undisputed championship against Logan Paul in 24 minutes and 15 seconds. And I feel like everybody might be right about Logan Paul. He may be the best rookie/young professional wrestler who's only had about 20 matches, but inside this 20-match run, each match has been better than the last one.
He certainly seems to have like the natural knack for it.
He's almost like a savant. I mean, I have never in my life seen somebody take to this so fast. And his storytelling. It's like he's able to do psychology. It's not like this, oh, here's Logan Paul. He's going to do a cool spot. He's going to do this dive. He knows how to play to the crowd. I mean, like, this guy can be a 5-tool player.
I mean, if he's willing to, like, I would say, like, like commit to, like, being a more full-time, I don't see why they wouldn't push him to the top of the card with how much he's shown so far.
And there's spots in this match where I'm going like, I can see them taking the title off of Cody and putting it on Logan. And I've been like, okay, it's perfectly fine because I feel like Logan can hold that world title.
Yeah, I think he's kind of surprised a lot of people. And like I said, if he's willing to be like, yeah, I'm in, let's do this. I don't see why he wouldn't be like a kind of just in the championship picture for the foreseeable future.
Exactly. And that has been your King and Queen of review here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling.
Time to ring the bell as Shawn and Ashlee debate 6 stunning questions from the week of wrestling. All the whys and what the hell was that?
Ashlee, we're going to close the show with our stunning 6 questions. I got 6 questions for you. They all deal with the fallout from AEW Double or Nothing. And my first stunning question for you: what is the first feud you'd like to see MJF involved in?
I feel like we're going right back to finish off with Adam Cole because it got cut short. But man, we have Will Ospreay here, and MJF versus Will Ospreay sounds real good.
Well, in the meetings room, Swerve said like MJF needs to prove himself before he gets back near the AEW World Title. As since he's been gone, this is a new house. It's a house built by Swerve Strickland. And I kind of agree with you. I wouldn't mind seeing MJF versus Will Ospreay. And oh, by the way, MJF is a babyface. You have this guy named Okada with a Continental title. Okada versus MJF.
Yeah, especially with MJF's very very pro AEW promo with his comeback and his showing off his tattoo and everything. I could definitely see him taking exception with what the Elite have been doing. And certainly Okada versus MJF, or even as much as people have been kind of 50-50, Jack Perry's new character versus MJF could be very interesting as well.
Well, they are 2 pillars of AEW. And if I remember, like, MJF kind of had an issue with Jungle Boy Jack Perry being a pillar. So maybe it's time for him to show Jack Perry that he isn't a pillar of this company.
Yeah.
Okay, so my second question for you. As we saw the heel turn of Chris Statlander, what were your thoughts on it? And who besides Will do you want to see Chris Statlander's new heel persona go after?
It made me very sad. I love the tag team, but I also understand probably the need to maybe shift Chris Statlander's character a little bit. Seeing her as a heel should be very interesting. We haven't seen the side of her in the 5 years she's been in AEW. I think having her, where should we start with her? I mean, obviously, I feel like we're going to get something with Willow, but beyond that, I want to see her maybe go after, who could we put in here? I feel like Deeb's not going to be the answer. I feel like it would be a good match, but it's not a good feud.
I kind of know where you need to go. You need a new heel challenger for Tony Storm, because Tony Storm is a babyface. So, hey, let's just bump Chris Statlander up to be the next heel to face Tony Storm.
And even just getting the title shot would be something for her to like hang over the babyface Willow. That could work, especially because I've said it before. Tony Storm's character, I think, is meant to be a heel, but nobody's going to allow her to be that way. So,
no, she's the cool heel that has turned the whole crowd with her gimmick, and everybody's in love with the gimmick. And now you just need to run with it and make her the face. And now you have a new heel, Chris Statlander, who can be a monster.
Yeah, and I think kind of having her turn after Willow had, I think, probably one of the best promos that she's cut, like about, and it's this super baby face promo, and then having Chris Statlander was also like kind of just twisting the dagger. So I'm pretty excited. I think she's going to kill it as a heel.
I do too. I can't wait to see what happens on Wednesday night. Okay, early in the show, I was talking about this. Where does the House of Midcard go after this to Adam Cole? And I think we both agree that they need to disband and head over to Ring of Honor to rehab.
So listen, if they do the mixed tag titles instead, keep Brody and Julia together and make them your mixed tag team champions. I love those two together, and I don't want them to break up. But I feel like Malachi, I think he needs to do something to stand out on his own a bit. So maybe have him go out on his own. And Buddy Matthews almost has no voice in this entire faction. He doesn't really cut any promos. He doesn't have many singles matches. I think kind of putting him out on his own would hopefully benefit him. Like I said, we haven't seen what he can really do in that position, but this faction together has not really accomplished anything outside of being a one-time trios champion.
Which is very sad to think about, because when this group got put together, there was so much hope for it. And I felt like maybe this is the vehicle to get Malachi Black up to the AEW World title picture. But now, can you imagine Swerve Strickland versus Malachi Black being a match you see in the near future? A lot of people would be like, no.
No, I mean, especially with the last two, like, heavily gimmick matches that the House of Black have had with the two cage matches and everything. I feel like, I've said it before, I feel like Brody King and Julia Hart are the breakout stars of this faction, and I wouldn't mind keeping them together post House of Black. They don't really have to claim House of Black, but I don't know. It's like one of those, like, there was so much potential there and just nothing ever came of it. So, like, at this point, it's got to be put up or shut up, and you know.
See, I'm with you. I feel like Julia needs to come back, and they kick Malachi Black out of the group, and they install Julia as the true leader of the House of Julia and rebrand as the House of Julia.
Yeah, they're going to just have to, like I said, there's nothing for them to go to after this, you know?
Okay, so my next standing question for you, Ashlee, my friend. Is it possible for anybody to beat Chris Jericho as long as Tony Khan is the person booking this freaking company?
I don't know. I, again, watched a match where Jericho did not need to win, but won anyway. I just, again, I don't know where this Jericho character is going. I'm not the hugest fan of Big Bill being paired up with him. I'm a little skeptical of Brian Keith being paired up with him, although I guess I'll have to let it play out. I don't really have much of a choice.
I feel like Tony got stuck in the vortex of Jericho and he can't get out, and we just need to toss him a rope and help him see the light.
Yeah, TK got stuck in that vortex. Yeah, I don't know. And like I said, like, I kind of didn't have like the highest hopes for that match because I feel like that way, I guess, about any Jericho match lately. I didn't hate it as much as I thought, but I still was like, I don't need this on this pay-per-view.
Exactly. It was like maybe 10 minutes that we could get back in our lives that we can't get back now. So let's move on to my next standing question. As I pose to you, who should be the next challengers for both Will Ospreay and your AEW World Champions for Strickland?
Ooh, I'm very curious as to what Will Ospreay is going to do with this championship. I feel like the international championship lineage is like, it's pretty good. You know, Pac, OC, Mox, Phoenix, Roddy Strong, and now Ospreay. Like that's a pretty good line of champions right there. Let's see. With him being more of a baby face, who would I like to see? I would like to see him against Cole if Cole's good to go.
That would be a fun match. And you know what? I feel like one possible answer is Ashlee and his little faction with Don Callis. I feel like we need a rehab Katisha now. Katisha needs a little rehab. And Katisha versus Will Ospreay, sign me up. Yes, I feel like a series that matches there. And maybe down the road, you give the title to Katisha.
Definitely, especially if you do something like have Takeshita say with Callis. That could be like kind of like the crux that like has Will Ospreay leave the faction, while dropping the title to Takeshita while he moves on to like say the world championship.
Exactly. I feel like it's a good option. And for the world championship, I feel like besides the fact that we have milk cartons for Britt Baker and Jamie Hager, I got someone for Heyman Adam Page, paging Heyman Adam Page.
Listen, I say it every time now. I'm gonna hope he comes back soon because the Owen tournament is a coming, and I think maybe Ospreay versus Hangman could be a really good final that would leave people wondering who would win.
Exactly. And if I remember right, there was a certain person saying that he would do everything in his power for a certain person not be AEW World Champion. And now we're in a world where said person is the AEW World Champion.
I know. It's tough because like we know he's dealing with personal stuff, so you don't want to like rush him back for anything, but also like I want him to come back because I miss him.
Exactly. We just missed Heyman Adam Page. We were both big Heyman Adam Page fans, and eventually when he comes back, I feel like he can easily slide back in that main event spot, and we'll be all good in the world.
Listen, they don't do triple threats very often. Give me Hangman, Swerve, and Ospreay in a triple threat.
Okay, if you give me that match, I'll be more than willing to give Tony Khan $50. Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, we're closing the show with one final stunning question. What is the right decision here? Was it Orange Cassidy defeating Trent, or should Trent actually get the freaking win?
It's tough because I feel like to make this Trent heel character impactful, he probably should have gotten the win. But also to have Orange Cassidy be defending like Chuck Taylor's honor, Orange Cassidy should have won. Like I don't know. I feel like if the object was to have Orange Cassidy win, that maybe it didn't need to be on the pay-per-view. I feel like it would have been a far bigger moment to have Trent beat the usually unbeatable Orange Cassidy.
Yes, I was one of these people who think like Trent needed this to establish his heel character, and he could brag, "Hey, I retired Chuck Taylor. I beat everybody's beloved Orange Cassidy. Where's my title shots? I want my title shots."
Yeah. I think it puts him in a weird spot because he became a bad guy because he was losing, and now he's a bad guy who's losing. So where does that character go from here, you know?
Maybe the House of Midcard adds another member, and he adds to the group, and their combined midcardness this affects all the members of the group.
Oh, jeez. That's why I'm hoping like the Don Callis thing is alluding to him joining. At least it would make sense and could, in retrospect, get him some wins, even if it's through heel tactics.
So true. So Ashlee, before we go, where can we find you on the Super Information Superhighway?
I am always kicking around on Twitter, and it's at groovy_ash_.
You can always follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Radio Free PW. Go over to our YouTube channel if you have liked this episode. Hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss an episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling. You never know. Maybe there's always a special edition, especially when Progress comes around with another chapter. Me and David will be there to preview it, give you the ups and downs of that situation. And you can follow me on Twitter at RFPWShawn. And I'll be over there pointing out my dislike of the learning tree, and as I'm chasing Chris Jericho down with a flamethrower. Until next week on Radio Free Professional Wrestling, stay stunning.
Christina here. On behalf of the guys, thanks for listening. Like the show, do us a favor and share it with a friend. Have a stunning question or just want to chat? Email it to the show at radiofreeprowrestling@gmail.com. Until next time, this has been Radio Free Pro Wrestling. Stay stunning.